Hey y'all, I'm the Midwest Hack, and today with this video we're going to be modifying this muffler for a 575 XP. Going to open it up a little bit so the thing can breathe a little bit better. That 575 is a saw I've been working on for the last several days. If the video's not out already, it will be shortly. But I had to put a new cylinder on that saw. The spark plug hole was stripped out. So while I was at it, I did some port work on it. Deleted the base gasket, hopped that saw up a little bit. While I was at it, I was going to do a muffler mod, but since that video is getting kind of long, I decided to break this into a separate video. This particular muffler, somebody's already done a little bit of work on. There's some extra holes in it. I can't tell that they've done anything internal, but externally anyway, they put a couple extra holes in. We're gonna get this thing opened up, see what's inside, probably remove any baffles that are in there, and then maybe make some nicer looking or fancier looking outlets for it. Thought you guys might want to follow along. I'll get this thing opened up and I'll get back to you. Well, as you all know from the title of this video, but I'm just finding out, the muffler mod idea is getting scrapped. I'm going to move on. I'm going to fabricate a pipe for this thing instead. However, let's take a look at how this muffler was put together. See what it looks like inside. So here's the exhaust port into the muffler. These are the tubes where your bolts would go through. This is the internal baffle. So your tubes would have passed through that. They don't go through there anymore. Everything's too deformed. It won't quite go through. But as you can see, there's not a whole lot of volume inside the first chamber of that muffler. That baffle pretty much seals that muffler all up, except for these four roughly quarter-inch holes that go through. The larger holes are, again, those are for the tubes for the bolts. So the exhaust first dumps into a relatively small chamber and then has to bleed through these four holes. Once it bleeds through those holes, then it gets into another small chamber, and the only way out is up through this tube, roughly a half-inch tube maybe, and out the top. So why am I scrapping this idea? This muffler came apart extremely hard. I had to grind the tubes out. Once I kind of pried things apart, I cut this tube off to get it apart. The seam, I'm not sure how it was held together. I don't know if it was all welded. I couldn't see a weld, but I couldn't get it to separate. Basically, I had to grind it all the way apart. If I were going to do it again, if I had to make this muffler work and just mod it for a little bit more flow, what I would do is go through the exhaust port with a carbide and get at this internal baffle and do my best to open up a section of this internal baffle to allow the exhaust gases to pass more easily from the first chamber into the second. From there's a couple things I would consider. I mean, somebody had previously drilled two small holes here. I think that's a good step in the right direction. I might actually open up the slots and give it more outlet than that. The other thing you could do is take this plate off the top and open up around the tube that comes out, so that not only can you pass exhaust gases up through the tube, but also around the tube and out the top. I'm not even going to try to put this back together. This is scrap at this point. Let's get started on fabbing up a pipe for this saw. All right, I'm back in the shop this morning. I got a fire lit. Woke up this morning, the temperatures had dropped overnight. We're down to the single digits, and my shop's not insulated, so kind of cold out here. I'm going to let that warm things up just a little bit, and we'll get back to it. This is what I got done last night. It is a mess. The only stock I had on hand that I thought was about the right size for a iron horse style pipe is too thin wall. Yeah, I'm getting it welded, but it's just taking a ridiculous amount of time. Was planning to chop it off somewhere in here. I can still use this for some mock-up. to see what's going to work out well. But basically, I'm going to end up cutting the flange off of this, and it's starting with something new. So again, another failure. I failed on the stock muffler modification. I failed on the first iteration of a pipe. We'll just keep getting after it. So I went and found some different materials. Found a much heavier wall pipe, a little bit smaller diameter than what I wanted to use. Certainly not done yet. I'm not going to leave it stick out the front like this. But once I got the flange welded onto it, I couldn't resist bolting it on and seeing what a straight pipe sounds like. I thought you guys might enjoy hearing it too, so I'll fire it up real quick here. All right, that's enough screwing around. I'm going to get back to work. The muffler's all finished up, or the pipe is all finished up, I should say, and got it coated and baked. I used VHT header paint on it. It went through the baking process this morning, got it done. This is how it ended up. I do have it angled. I guess if I put the saw in the cylinder end towards you, I do have it angled towards the starter side of the saw, and I also angled it up a bit. That allowed me to dip this down and make it a little bit longer without sticking out past the bar. I didn't want this one to be too terribly loud. The recommendation is usually about 1 3/4 out from the pipe up to about 2 3/4. Doesn't cost you much horsepower. This one ended up right around, I think, 2.3 inches. So kind of, it's definitely in that range. Hoping it works well. We'll get a smear of silicone put on this just to help take up any gaps. Yeah, the silicone will probably burn, but usually the residue in there still keeps it sealed fairly well, and then we'll get it put on. Okay, so there you have it. Basically right flush with, well, once I get this this dog fixed, it'll be right flush with the dog and the brake. Doesn't hit the brake. And the length of the pipe sticks out basically right to the bar. Could have gone a little bit further with it, but without the bar on here, I don't have a bar for this saw since it belongs to a friend. I wanted to make sure that I stayed out of that bar. So we're going to let that dry for just a little bit, and then we'll give it a test fire. The muffler's had a little bit of, or the sealant has had a little bit of time to set up on that pipe. Let's start this thing up and see how it sounds. This is going to be a cold start. We'll see how it does. Well, as you can hear, I got a little bit of tuning left to do, but yeah, it's loud. It's not horribly loud, certainly not like that straight pipe being on there. I'm anxious to get this thing out and do some cutting with it. As soon as I get a chance to get over to my buddy's place, we'll get a bar on this, and I'll get you some footage of cutting.